Is you fucking crazy?
For another time, don't, for another time, don't.
Thousands remained without electricity tonight in the wake of Idalia, including in Tallahassee. And that's where we find ABC's Victor Akindo. Victor.
Byron, here in Tallahassee, the race is on to restore power. The biggest concerns for the capital city, wind damage, downed trees, and power outages. Despite being spared the brunt of Idalia, sure enough, we got a combination of all three. Once Idalia cleared the area, our team drove around and quickly spotted crews clearing a tree that fell on a busy highway and took down some power lines. Just beyond them, a lineman in a bucket truck working on restoring power to the nearby streetlights. And look at this outside the governor's mansion. Florida First Lady Casey DeSantis posted this photo. It was a 100-year-old oak tree brought down by Idalia. DeSantis was inside with her children. Nobody was hurt. The good news is we have been tracking the number of customers without power, and they have been dropping by the hour. Byron?
Victor, thank you. Residents in more than 20
Burn Live, y'all. Marijuana keeping y'all connected. Hashtagging these red eyes, changing the viewers' eye red. Keeping underage smoking off of social media. Killing myself for your entertainment. Sitting here with friends and family, starting a cannabisation. Y'all, I got a sponsor. I got my first sponsor. So before we get further into this, I'd like to give a shout out to my sponsor, Simple Fresh. Y'all see it. Y'all see it. Go check out that website. I'm actually finna leave this site up here for you guys. See if I can pin it in the comment. Actually, I can. So as I pinned that in the comment, that's how we're gonna start this off. Simple Fresh, man. For all you men and women out there that claim that your loved one is not doing you right, or you're a little lonely. If you're a little lonely and you need some friends, you need something to help you out, please go check out the website. You know what I'm saying? Tell them Burn Live sent you, and you might get 10% off. I'm not sure, 5 to 10% off, but I do know they do got good toys and good things on the site for you to use, and very helpful. So people on Facebook, I did pin that down there at the bottom. That's going to stay up there all night during the show. Other news, we're going to get off into the news. I know I'm supposed to cover marijuana first, but this was a tad bit, a little bit more important. It's this hurricane. A lot of people have been reporting that this hurricane has something to do with global climate change. And that's why I wanted to start this off by going here and be like, this has nothing to do with climate change. This happens every year. This is a every year disaster. It happens every year the same. And all of a sudden now that it's around election year, yes, I said it, now that it's around election year, everybody wants to see and grasp and try to take it in for their own, which makes no sense. But I am going to give you some more updates on what's going on.
Florida counties were ordered to evacuate, and while many heeded those warnings, some made the risky decision to hunker down. Catastrophic storm surge up and down the Florida coast, up to 7 feet. Hurricane Idalia flooding downtowns, leaving homes destroyed. Idalia is the first major hurricane to hit this part of Florida's Big Bend on record.
No! Oh.
And now thousands returning home to see whether their homes and businesses survived. Like Shannon and Jordan Keaton, who evacuated and rode out the storm 30 miles inland with family. Longtime residents of Cedar Key, one of the areas hit hardest by the storm.
So there's still no power, no sewer, no water, nothing. My house is fine. There was no issues here. My restaurant is another story. There's quite a bit of damage there. All of my the deck that was around the building is gone. Missing some windows and doors.
They own one of the most popular restaurants on the island, 83 West.
It's terrifying to me that I wasn't able to see my cameras at the restaurant. I was looking at possibly 8 years of my efforts, gone down the Gulf.
This wasn't their first hurricane. Back in 2016, Hurricane Hermine hit their restaurant, causing $750,000 in damages, according to Jordan.
The problem with being right over the water is it's uninsurable, as are all of the restaurants on Dock Street. They won't be able to get any help from insurance, and they won't be able to get any help from FEMA or anything. It's everybody's on their own.
After Hermine, the Keatons rebuilt their restaurant out of pocket because he says they can't get insurance. Now they
This is almost the same tragedy that's going on in Maui. Almost the same exact tragedy that's going on in Maui, ladies and gentlemen. This is getting just a tad bit more serious than serious. Like, it was already serious, ladies and gentlemen. No bull crap. It was already serious. Now it's like it's going to the next level of seriousness where something's got to happen. We need some type of explanation. Can't be something that's government controlled without us having a problem. If any report comes out that this is government control, I'm going to have a problem or a hissy fit or any other words that you want to like to say, because natural disaster, because this is what this technically is, natural disaster. Hurricane is natural. It's Mother Nature, natural. When a woman giving birth, it's natural. You see what I'm saying? Mother Nature, natural disaster. Something that is purposely done with cutting off the water supply, cutting off the gas so people couldn't leave, things that are happening in Maui. Not saying there's stuff happening in Florida, but there is a small report that Florida's tried to get gas and it was full of diesel, and so it cut cars off. The same thing that happened in Maui. There hasn't been no full report. It's just a couple of rumors that did take place. I'm trying to do more investigation.
They have to go through it all over again. Jordan hopes to reopen in a few weeks.
We're going to rebuild it. We're going to make it again. Luckily, this area is not prone to a ton of hurricanes. You know, we probably get one every 10 years, but it does seem like it is a little bit more frequent now.
The ocean's abnormally warm waters averaging 88 degrees, fueling Idalia, increasing its speed as it approached land.
If there's anything the states need right now, I'm ready to mobilize that support of what they need.
While many evacuated, some decided to stay put, including residents in Hudson, Florida, who were stunned by how fast the water came in.
Before I knew it, was over the wall. We're trying to get in the truck, and it's up to barely able to get the doors open. Like, came over the wall. It's just, I can't believe this. I've never seen nothing like it.
I've never seen this before. I mean, we've had a hurricane here, but it's never flooded to this extent.
Just up the coast in...
No, not trying to offend nobody, but y'all got to expect out of 20 years, out of 40 years, that you're going to get a hurricane or two that's going to be one of the worst hurricanes that ever hit since you've been born. Come on, people. We're not finna just sit up here and say that we did not know that none of this was going to happen, or we didn't think this was going to happen because of what? We in hurricane, we controlling the weather. That's letting people know that y'all believe in the conspiracy of the government controlling the weather. Now, you do not want the government controlling everything. And I definitely I see already I have to get into this talk of what the government should and should not be controlling. I didn't think that I would have to bring something like this on this channel, but obviously to inform, to enlighten my peoples, this is something that I see that we're gonna have to discuss.
In Steenhatchee, the Norwood family was split on whether to evacuate or not. Kaylee, who is 9 months pregnant, decided to evacuate to Gainesville with her husband Kevin.
We evacuated Steenhatchee because I'm 9 months pregnant and have been in and out of labor all day with contractions.
Her brother Chase and the rest of the family decided to stay home to watch over their family business, the Sea Hag Marina.
We're more scared for the marina rather than our safety. We do have a lot of damages that happen to everything else, but it could have been a lot worse.
The family has owned the marina for 24 years. Normally, it's a sunny spot filled with fishermen and lodgers coming to enjoy the stunning views.
One of the biggest marinas on the west coast of Florida, and so this is like one of my parents' babies. So when the marina's in danger, it's like almost as if, you know, their child's in danger.
But today, much of it was hit with major storm surge, leaving debris and damage in its wake.
A few hours ago, it looked like a crazy place. There's wind blowing sideways, tree limbs going sideways, and so it was real. And now it's bright and sunny here.
Despite the damage, the Norwood family focused on their newest member, about to be born.
I think everybody around here is excited. You know, people around in our town, it's like one big family, so everybody knows each other, and everybody knows she's having a baby and having a baby boy.
But tonight, others on the path of the storm from Georgia to South Carolina are still dealing with the remnants of Idalia. As the storm exited Florida and tracked to the north and the east, it continued to cause flooding and also became a tornado threat. ABC's Alex Prechet has more from Charleston, South Carolina. Alex.
Hey, Byron. So the number one thing that Charleston is facing tonight is flooding. Idalia, mixed with those high tides, have flooded roadways. They've flooded parking lots. The National Weather Service has said that water has reached the Charleston Battery and the dunes at Edisto. The other thing that it's facing is wind. We've got down trees, down power lines, and then all throughout the day, they have been dealing with tornadic activity. One tornado so strong that it even picked up a car. Now, more than 34,000 customers are with.
The key thing that I thought I just heard him say is another tornado, like it was more than one. Now, I'm finna rewind it. I could be tripping. You know, I'm just waking up, Wake and Bake Show. Good morning, everybody. But no. If he just said it was another
power
tornado.
Lines, and then all throughout the day, they have been dealing with tornadic activity. One tornado so strong that it even picked.
One tornado. I'm assuming, and this is me technically assuming, I'm assuming he meaning like different times, but the same one tornado. Okay.
Picked up a car. Now, more than 34,000 customers are without power. We were actually one of them. The power at our hotel going out for about an hour before the generators kicked back on. That's why the mayor here has urged residents to hunker down, stay safe, not to put any first responders at risk. Byron?
Alex, thank you. There will be much more on the storm overnight.
There's been a lot of stories that's been going on. A lot of stories that's been going on. Hurricane season, Maui situation. It's really been going down. It's really. Let me put that back up there. Let me put my first and only sponsor that I ever had. I appreciate. Y'all go check out Simple Fresh. Simply Fresh. Oh, Simply Freshware. I forgot about the Simply Freshware. Okay, man, just go check out the website. We have lots of things on there for you to use, and I bet you will find something on that site for you to use. Please go check it out. We did this sponsor did look out for me last year, or year before last. I do believe last year we had a sponsor, so they're back. Better than ever, booming. Shipping to any town that you want. This is our first day, so we're working on it. We're gonna actually, what I should do is I'm gonna be making commercials and ads and stuff like that, and I should be trying to put a ad commercial together for them. An intro. I should be trying to put down an intro for them. That'll probably be cool and what we need. Now, I did not want to play this. But I feel like it's a wicked bait early in the morning. So this is probably the best time to talk about it. This has something to do with the effect and smoking of marijuana. I apologize about that. This is actually on PBS, so this is actually on national television. You can actually see this on your regular TV on PBS, your channel 9, where educational channel is. So this kind of makes me want to play it and see what she has to say. Especially this is on a public television, y'all. So I'm definitely finna get into this. 14 minutes long. I don't think we're gonna play the whole thing, but we definitely gonna see what is being discussed. How is smoking weed affecting your health? A lot of people are going to have their own opinions, and that's the problem. A lot of people are going to have their own opinions. What is the facts? I hope this lady is bringing nothing but facts, statistics, and things like that to the table so it can be honored and we can move forward trying to healthen ourselves. Yo, I'm trying to work on my podcast voice and talking and making sure I explain things to the best of my ability too. Yeah, I got a lot of work on.
Have you looked at the map where marijuana is legal in the US recently? The number changes almost every election and it is hard to keep up. Okay, so let me break this down for you. As of August 2023, 38 US states, DC, and several US territories have some form of medicinal marijuana legislation, and 23 states that allow the use of cannabis recreationally. And the most recent data from 2021 estimated 18% of Americans having used marijuana in the past 12 months. I think it's safe to say that marijuana is here to stay, and why not? The most common reason Americans say they seek to use cannabis is to treat conditions like anxiety and chronic pain. In fact, more than 25% of US adults suffering from chronic pain use cannabis to alleviate the symptoms of their condition. Okay, so you might be saying, duh, Sheena, what's the issue? It's 2023 and marijuana is in. So where are you going with this? Well, recent studies are raising eyebrows about the long-term health effects of cannabis use. And it's got me wondering, what information is out there that we always hear about that we still need to fact check? After all, if you do partake in this still federally illegal drug, I want you to have all the details.
Notice now, fact check is something big and very detailed ever since Trump been in office. Everybody wants to get the fact check. I don't have nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong to me with the fact check, as long as it's the true facts and not opinionated facts, and you have data to back it up. Now, she started off pretty good in this show with the data, so we are assuming, and we're just going to assume that the rest of this that's coming up is really going to be good data, real facts and stuff that we can use to help us out. You see what I'm saying? Now, this can be helpful because hopefully you had the data and facts to back it up.
I promise you, it's dear to my heart. This is not an episode about the evils of marijuana. No scare tactics here, just the facts. We aren't going to deny that in a lot of states, marijuana is a prescription drug prescribed by doctors to treat the symptoms of many health conditions. In fact, there are many encouraging studies that indicate that cannabis users see positive impacts on their health when it comes to conditions such as chronic pain, anxiety, and depression. However, just like any other drug, there are still risks to consider. All right, I won't keep you waiting in suspense. Let's dive in on the myths. Okay, myth number one, I'm sure you heard of before. Marijuana is a natural herb and therefore healthy. Okay, so let's look at the definition of healthy. We are to assume healthy means something that you can take with little to no physical side effects. However, if you smoke or vape cannabis, regardless of the amount of THC, you could be vulnerable to conditions such as heart muscle dysfunction, chest pain, heart attacks, and strokes. In a recent study from Stanford University, researchers wanted to better understand the effects on smoking marijuana daily on the cardiovascular system. Using information gathered from the National Institutes of Health All of Us research program, researchers discovered that daily cannabis users were 30 24% more likely to have coronary artery disease, or CAD, than those that never used it. For those occasional users, the once a month users, the risk of CAD was not present. When you smoke marijuana, the effects of THC, or delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol, the part of the plant that provides the euphoria feeling, your blood pressure rises. For heavy users, this might mean the blood vessels become inflamed or can cause a buildup of plaque in the arteries, leading to coronary artery disease, a condition when major blood vessels constrict and struggle to send blood and oxygen to the heart. This is where you need to talk to your doctor about your heart attack risks, hypertension, and chest pain.
I proceed with caution. If someone has unstable coronary disease, I'm very hesitant to use cannabis. But there are two ways to minimize the risk to the heart. One is watch the dose. I think people can get into trouble if they are new to cannabis or they take a much higher dose than normal. You get an anxiety attack, you get a panic attack, your heart rate.
First-time users, which I haven't seen a first-time user in so long, but first-time users and people of that sort, when they probably have that. But this, I'm gonna say okay, all right, because first researcher was saying that seizure, strokes, and stuff was reduced because you smoke marijuana. Now they saying strokes is definitely increased because you smoke marijuana, and this Delta 8 be popping up everywhere. And I know Delta 8 been out for a while, ladies and gentlemen. Like I told y'all yesterday, I did have a friend that actually took Delta 8, and I'm not gonna lie, I seen side effects from Delta 8 that I was not too familiar and proud of. But yet again, I did not know it was Delta 8 at the time. I was smoking weed too, so don't get it twisted. But Delta 8 has to be mixed with something else more than just the normal chemicals that you would make a regular THC blunt. I'm almost 100% sure that it's an extra ingredients in there that needs not to be in there. And that's the problem that we have with this situation. Trust me.
Rates racing, that's a lot of stress on the heart. The second thing is a lot of the harm, I believe, that could be coming from cannabis is from the combustion products, the tar, the benzene, the polycyclic aromatic. The first thing is most doctors don't recommend smoking cannabis. There are many other ways to take it, and smoking is probably the least healthy way to take it. You can use an edible, just be careful of the dosing. You could use a tincture under your tongue. Again, as long as you pay attention to the dose and make an effort not to overconsume it, it's relatively safe to use. It's just a question of being an educated consumer. As a primary care doctor, I never think which drug is perfectly safe. I always think which is the least dangerous option, because all drugs have side effects. Sometimes I feel cannabis is less dangerous than some of the alternatives, but generally speaking, teens, people with a history of family history of psychosis, and people who are pregnant or breastfeeding shouldn't be using cannabis, or if they're using it, they should be using it with extreme guidance and caution.
Myth number 2, marijuana isn't addictive. According to the CDC, 3 in 10 people who use marijuana have marijuana use disorder, which is defined as a person that is unable to stop using marijuana even though it's causing health and social problems in their lives. The risk for developing this disorder is greater for young adults that started using cannabis at an early age and for those that are frequent users. In a 2021 U.S. National Survey on Drug Use and Health, of people aged 12 and over, an estimated 16 million people had a cannabis use disorder in the past 12 months. This was most commonly seen in young adults aged 18 to 25.
It depends how you define the addiction. With cannabis, it's very complicated because it does help people. It helps people with anxiety, with pain.
Okay, now this statistic right here, I'm not gonna lie to y'all, is a tad bit far-fetched for me to digest and say like, okay, yeah, people now smoking weed are gonna have probably socializing with people. They're gonna be more antisocial. That's still a self preference, and people can change for that. And I don't think a medicine like that is really gonna take the time out and knock a person for how they feel about being around people. No. See, this is I knew the first part we was getting good. We was getting very, very good. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm gonna stop it right there for a second. I am gonna stop it right there for a second because this other story had just popped up and I feel like it's super, super important that we discuss it. So I will be going back and forth with marijuana news, just back and forth real quick. Just for right now. So this I just have.
He's excited to be here. Marshall, do you want to do a?
Did he just copy what she did? That was weird. And we only 3 seconds into the video. But mothers grooming daughters into transitioning into this is dangerous, and I can't believe parents like this are willing to do this. This is why some parents, like, you kind of want to call the DFS on them. I'm not gonna lie to you. It makes me want to call it DFS.
He's excited to be here. Marshall, do you want to do a week 4 on testosterone, boys?
Week 4, the same.
How are you feeling?
The same.
Any effects? Anything changing?
Not really.
Yo, I'm just gonna say it right now. That kid looks depressed. That girl looks depressed. Look at the mouth. Sad. Sad that you're going through this process. Sad that your mother, like, this is totally sad. And then it's documented on camera. That's even worse that it's documented. So when this person gets older and realize whatever they realize about their lives, they got videos to go back and remember, hey, I was going through this when I was transitioning into a boy. I didn't want a boy. I just wanted probably friends or just a hug. This right here, I'm going to let you know, it's starting off very scary and weird. And y'all can see that frown because I paused it for some reason, perfect. And then the mother with this not satisfied face expressed like, it's not what I want. It's not the answer I was looking for. I'm trying to be a part of this community. It's like the mother is in a social club and she's not being accepted because her child is not transitioning over fast enough. So she wants to hurry it up, more documents and stuff like that. And this is just the first video. Don't get it twisted. I bet you we looked her up. There's like hundreds of more. Quit playing.
Any high points? Any good things?
Not really.
Say it with me, ladies and gentlemen. Child abuse.
Hey, I'm not even finna get into saying that it's not, but we get a bigger picture. Is grooming child abuse? That's a good question. Is grooming child abuse? I'm going to say yes. Grooming is definitely a part or a form of child abuse, especially if the kid is not happy, especially when you can see for our own faces that the kid is not happy.
Parents are the ones who I think are inviting them in, coercing them to, or tricking them, or living out their own fantasy or fetish. Poor parenting. People who are just, I mean, I guarantee you this person vote for Joe Biden. I guarantee you this woman is a liberal. These people are deranged. Now listen to what mama think versus what the kid says. Why is mama got the kid on a TikTok trying to do this whole buildup? And you know why? It's because these mothers, these parents, they become famous if they get the next famous trans kid. And the kids are suffering, confused. All they need is a little bit of Jesus and some real love and parenting.
I was to tell you, you really think it's for the fame? Nah, hey. To get deeper into that, for people that really think that you're doing this for the fame, you're doing this for the guts and glory of one day making millions and millions of dollars, transverting your child over into something that he or she may or may not want to be, that's sad. Like I really think it's a group home club somewhere out there, and you see it in movies, and you hear about it. The book club. Everybody knows a nice little neighborhood has a book club somewhere out there, and you got a bunch of women who are sad and depressed, or not truly single, but with somebody, and their loved one is not really taking care of them the way they want to be taken care of. So they go to this book club. It's a bunch of women. They sit there. They read books and stuff like that. They read books. So they went across a book that has something to do with transitioning for parents who kids that are complaining about that. And kids are, whatever they're complaining. And that's where you get all these TikTok and documents from, because they want to be part of a club, jokingly a cult. They're gonna eventually turn this into a cult. It's gonna be a cult of women and the men that's transverting their kids over into boys and girls, and however they feel that it seems to be necessary. And you're gonna see this. It's gonna be normal. It's gonna be an everyday situation. You're gonna be sad if you're not part of this cult. You're going to be infuriated when you see that this cult gets legalized in the Constitution somewhere, and this has become natural here in America. This needs to be stopped. There's too many of us making videos, and there's too many people out there that if I sit down and had this conversation with, I know for a fact if I had this conversation with you, you're going to be like, no, I do not like this. This is not right.
Guidance, stability, and they will be different. I can guarantee you. Over what is it, the numbers were 60 to 90%. I don't know why it's a big gap, but the article that I read was 60 to 90% of children grow out of the stage of wanting to be a tomboy, wanting to be gay, wanting to be trans, all that stuff. They grow out of it. How? One thing is puberty. When a young man or a young woman hit puberty, stuff starts changing in them. A young boy that ain't thought about a girl a day in his life is drooling over girls now because he hit puberty. All right, let me play the clip, and you can see the manipulation from mama. You can see it. Roll the clip.
He's excited to be here. Marshall, do you want to do a week?
Yeah. You see when we first played the video how weirded out we was. You see that. You see when it first start rolling and it do the hand gesture over the hair over the ear. And they do it at the same time. It's weird. It's strange. It looks not right. And then you see the child looking down and away. As soon as it's done, like, I don't really want to do this, but let's hurry and get this over with.
Week 4 on testosterone.
Week 4 on testosterone. Trying to be Dylan Mulvaney. It's a kid, man. All right.
Boys.
Week 4, the same.
Week 4, let's say, and they hit you with a sad face. Not a smile. The child is sad, but the mother is smiling. First question. Not frustrated yet. Not frustrated yet. I really wish my audience, I know I did a wake and bake people not up, but I had to do this. And I can't wait till people actually see this video.
How are you feeling?
The same.
Any effects? Anything changing?
Not really. Yeah.
Any high points? Any good things?
Not really.
Ooh, here it comes. Here it comes. The child done hit the parent with how many low blows? And when you asking these questions, low blows.
Any bad points?
Not really.
The frustration. Now, you just see the irritation in the mother. That's why she finna do the ear over her head. Let me clear that irritation. Let me push that irritation back. That my child is not working with me. Yeah. It's like you didn't give your child enough incentive to come on here and want to embarrass herself. You didn't give your child enough prizes. I hate to say it like that. You didn't give your kid enough prizes. No, this is not working out for you, parent.
Are we struggle busing a little bit with the injection?
Did you see the embarrassment? That was embarrassing to the child. That was embarrassing. Y'all know facial expressions just like any other person when you see it.
At points?
Not really.
Okay, listen to this.
Are we struggle busing a little bit with the injection?
Did you see that facial expression on that child? Irritated that you're asking questions about me transverting over into her. That's weird. That's controlling. That's why people are making these videos and like, stop grooming your child. Stop doing this. This is disgusting.
I could tell just by looking at this woman, her reactions, and the fact she has no ring on her finger, she's a toxic single mother. I could tell. Now, all of you single mothers that's watching me, y'all perfect and y'all doing just fine. I'm talking about this lady right here. I know people like this. You can tell the toxicity in the manipulation, and that's probably why the woman probably don't have a husband. And now I could be wrong. Maybe she have a husband, she don't got a wedding ring on. But when you put 2 and 2 together, this seems like a single mother that's just destroying her kid. And daddy ain't there to stop it.
I understand why he went there. True indeed. Understand how if a guy was there, a guy wouldn't want his daughter trans. Truly wouldn't. It's like the mother, like he said, the mother just wants a boy. If you wanted a boy, you should try again. If you want a boy that bad.
For whatever reason. I could be wrong. They could be mad. She could be married, and the man just as dumb as she is, ruining their kid. But the whole mannerism that she's displaying is telling to me. Let me finish the 18 seconds of this clip.
To like, it's the anxiety of doing it. Yeah. A little bit of a struggle bus. Don't want to talk about it.
Don't want to talk about it. You knew that in the beginning. We knew that in the beginning. I cannot believe that people are putting it. This is why I'm glad I'm not on TikTok. I'm not going to hate, fake the funk or nothing. I'm so glad I'm not on TikTok, because that right there is truly, it's truly embarrassing. That's embarrassing. Ladies and gentlemen, Burn Live, y'all, we marijuana keeping you connected. Wake and bake hours, early in the morning, more in the afternoon for you guys, more in the evening. How you doing? People that are tuning in. You can come find me on Facebook or YouTube. Hit me up on X. I appreciate it. Appreciate people stopping through, chilling out, hanging out. We're finna get into some more marijuana news, because, you know, this is a marijuana station channel where we marijuanically keeping you connected. If we don't keep you connected with marijuana stories, it's not doing my job. And I wasn't doing my job for a long time. So to get back into doing my job and doing what I'm supposed to be doing, keeping you marijuanically connected in news and things that are going on around the United States of America, sometimes across the world, with marijuana news and adventures and stories. I highly appreciate it. This is one of the proudest things for me to do. But I also had to bring politics in it too, to bring it together, to show you guys like, hey, this stuff correlates together. Without one, you would not have the other. And that's another point to be made and saying, okay, I am going to do this report. I'm going to do this report one more time because a lot of people didn't see it. It needs to be discussed. And the reason why I'm going to do it for show is to explain to people, especially my Wake and Bake audience, why Oklahoma, and this is the reason why you're going to start hearing me say certain states do not deserve to be recreational or almost deserve to be medical. Like some states, unfortunately, probably do not need their hands into marijuana. Some states just have a crime problem. And for as Oklahoma, they definitely have a trafficking problem. And this story right here that I'm finna get into, it really woke my eyes. I mean, it really woke me up. It's like, okay, this is it. This is it. This is a good story, but a need to be known story that let you know that, hey, all states is not good. Okay, and here we go.
25's Tom Ferguson explains bidding will start in a couple of weeks for this first sale of its kind.
The county sheriff here tells me just 15 years ago, if you told him there would be international drug trafficking operations here, he wouldn't have believed you. But he says times have changed and officials need to respond. Property of the Johnston County Sheriff's Office. That's what the signs at this plot of land near 48 and East Grassy Creek Road now say after officials seized it. Back in 2021, law enforcement busted an illegal operation and found about 20,000 plants whose black market value was at least $30 million, according to the sheriff.
The way to go after these individuals is not only to try to put them in jail, but to go after their assets.
Sheriff Gary Dodd is calling for this strategy to be expanded to seize the assets of those involved in human trafficking and child exploitation too.
We're dealing with.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? They have a real problem out there in Oklahoma. They have a human and kid drug trafficking out there. And you want them to go recreational? Are you sure? I don't think so. Not when they're doing stuff like this. You really...
Sheriff Gary Dodd is calling for this strategy to be expanded to seize the assets of those involved in human trafficking and child exploitation too.
We're dealing with large criminal organizations setting up shop in rural Oklahoma.
Officials discovered Chinese nationals at the facility they believe were trafficked there to work and pay off debts. Up to 4 arrests were made in connection to the bust, according to Dodd, in the international drug trafficking operation. The property is listed online through the platform Bid for Assets. The starting bid, just over $755,000.
Taking the asset away from them and instead liquidating it and using the proceeds to support and help to better law enforcement initiatives is a great step in the right direction.
Dodd tells us 25% of the proceeds from the sale will go to the district attorney's office, with the rest going to drug-related law enforcement efforts at the sheriff's office. And the auction company president tells me they are in talks with a couple other counties here in Oklahoma to expand this initiative. Reporting in Johnston County, Tom Ferguson, Fox 25 News.
When you can put kids in your report to deal with marijuana and trafficking, damn near all in one sentence, bro, you do not need to be legalized at all. Point blank, it's not going down. I don't care what nobody say. Hey, I'm just keeping it real. Once you seen that, it definitely needs not to go down. Anybody feel offended, like, hey, you're wrong for saying that, and I think they should be, you really need to go take a look at kid trafficking and how bad it is in America. For it to be part of our environment, which we knew it was, so yet again, to stop it, and I'm just saying, I just want to stop. Like, I'm not even finna sugarcoat it. I'm not finna act like no. I'm not finna act like nothing else. It needs to be deceased, whatever it takes. Like, and I feel like people are like, man, you being extra harsh. You're over exaggerating. Okay, you could say I'm over exaggerating, which is cool, understandable. But y'all, when it comes down to tons of marijuana getting pushed through your city and towns and counties and back roads, and it can have a little kid in there, that doesn't sound very smart. It doesn't sound like it should be resonating with us. And I'm just gonna keep it real. It doesn't really sit comfortable. I don't think why we should allow that to happen. Like, no, y'all need to come up with a better strategy.
Well, guys, they can use the.
This is another story I've been waiting on. More information coming out about what the taxes are and what we're doing with the taxes. That's a good question. It's always been a good question to me. What do y'all think?
Money for almost anything if it's used to combat illegal drugs. I'm told it'll take the burden off taxpayers as well.
These individuals were en route to a location on State Highway 48, which is just south of Coleman. here in Johnston County.
A former illegal marijuana farm up for auction in Johnston County. Sheriff Dodd says a simple traffic stop led deputies to the property where the operators were not licensed.
Due to them using this location.
This is more illegal marijuana trafficking in Oklahoma. Okay, this is not the same story. This is just me bringing up more stories, finding more stories. This is what I'm talking about. If your state is doing this, I'm sorry, you don't need to be nothing. You need to be stripped of your marijuana license. I know that's sad for people that really need it. It needs to be only medical. Leave it at that. It's only medical. Because they're really messing it up for recreational people.
To facilitate multiple felonies based upon the statute here in the state of Oklahoma, we're allowed to seize that property and then go through the forfeiture process through the courts.
The sheriff says this goes back to Senate Bill 796, which passed into law last year. It allows public auctions to be held by the sheriff's office for seized land. With this auction, some of the equipment from the marijuana operation is included. But I'm told when the land is sold, the district attorney's office will get 25%.
Fans, electronics, lights, different equipment that may be used in the medical marijuana industry. That's still there, and that is part of the auction as well.
That's why it only should be auctioned off to people who have a license or that's in the process of getting a license. Like all of them, it should be a lot of dots and I's to cross, like it is in any other state. You shouldn't be taking this no easier, no lighter than any other situation. Quit playing with these people and quit playing with livelihoods of little kids that's been pushed around. Now you're trying to find ways to stop the kid trafficking that goes on in America. We see one. Cease and desist. Let's stop it before it gets out of hand. Because when it affects your state and stuff like that, you're going to think it's a problem.
But after fees are taken out from the third-party company handling the sale, the rest will go to the sheriff's office.
It allows us to not have to go into taxpayer money and be able to divert that to other places that we can be more fiscally responsible.
Sheriff Amison says the money from asset forfeiture of marijuana land goes toward counter-drug efforts. With a wide range of things the money can be spent on.
It can be training, it could be equipment, it can be all sorts of things that go towards helping us fund the cost of doing business.
But the sheriff says it's not a business. Stopping crimes from continuing is priority one.
We don't look at asset forfeiture as a revenue source or as a way of making money, and that's not what it's there for. It helps us stop these criminal organizations in their tracks, because if you take away the very thing that they're trying to accomplish, the assets and the money, then that hits them where it hurts.
I think it's smart. With people already claiming that they defunding the police, and then you got illegal marijuana projects up and running, and you got freaking acres of marijuana out here. And it's illegal. It's not legal. You can't use it. What else should you do with it? And you not gonna keep it up and running yourselves. So you might as well sell it off to a highest bidder who's trying to do the right thing in the marijuana industry and give the chance for them to grow and move and do what they have to do. That's like the best thing to do. That's the best option.
And I'm told when a former marijuana facility is auctioned, anyone can bid on it. It can be used as a legal marijuana facility or for something.
That's the problem right there. I'm glad he said it. Anyone can bid on it. Anyone need not to be bidding on that. Because the wrong person is going to bid on it and get it and do the same exact thing what you just did, and then you're going to be back here 6 months later turn it down.
Something else altogether. In Cleveland County, Jason Berger, KOCO 5 News.
That's crazy. I don't think y'all think that's crazy, but that's crazy. That's really not what you would think should be happening when you see that happening. I don't think that should be happening. I don't know about y'all. It's y'all opinion. You know, y'all make that decision too. I don't think that's right. You're just gonna give it to anybody. Anybody? I'm gonna just give it to anybody. Okay. Y'all, ladies and gentlemen. In other news that we finna discuss real quick this morning is something that I was like, wow. And I remember a person saying this on a live podcast. I literally remember this on a live podcast. They said that they don't want to defund the police. Nah, Democrats ain't saying that. Democrats ain't doing that. That's not what they're doing. And he was up there arguing for a good 10, 20, 30 minutes. And you got mayors now that are literally defunding the police, literally, and making situations in their state look bad. People are scared. We don't want to come up there to Chicago because we see where I definitely can't come up to Chicago and get my state taken away. I barely have anything. So you taking the little things that I do have that I work hard for, and you just doing it just because it's so easy and you know you're not going to go to jail for it. That's the problem. That's the problem. I don't think people really see like the big problem that sets off. So I figured, like, since people don't see what that does, I figured that I would share a story with you guys that help explain it. And hey, it's a brother to a brother talking about a brother state. Wow. What is it? See? Now what's going on?
So this Chicago TV news crew was robbed at gunpoint while reporting on how crazy robberies are in Chicago. Let's talk about how these liberal lunatic cities have just failed their citizens on crime. Chicago TV news crew robbed at gunpoint while filming a story on robberies in West Town. So let me show you what's been going on in Chicago and why this news crew was filming during that time. So check this out.
Carjacked overnight, spanning across Chicago's neighborhoods.
At least 7 incidents took place in just an hour. CBS 2's Muo Adigwe is in Wicker Park, where one of the carjackings happened.
We are along North Milwaukee Avenue this morning. This is where a woman told Chicago police that 3 guys carjacked her around 10:15 last night. She said at least one of them was armed. She also told police they arrived in a blue sedan, but eventually took off in her white SUV. Shortly after that carjacking, Chicago police say suspects in a white SUV robbed 2 women here in the West Loop. They even kicked one of the women when she refused to give up her belongings. Police say she was taken to the hospital in good condition. But after that robbery, there was another carjacking in Westtown and a robbery in Belmont-Cragen. But the night of crime actually started around 9:45 with 3 robberies in Wicker Park and Bucktown, all involving suspects in a blue sedan. As of this morning, Chicago police are not saying if those robberies and carjackings are connected or if they involve the same suspects. They simply tell us they're still investigating. In Wicker Park, Mugo Odigwe, CBS 2 News.
So as you can see, all hell is breaking loose in Chicago. Crime everywhere.
That's ridiculous. I think what was the one report we heard? 107% crime rate in a week. Something like that. That's fast.
Everywhere. Everybody getting robbed. Everybody getting robbed. And now even people reporting on the robberies are getting robbed while they're reporting on the robberies. But let me show you why this is going on, right? Because I think that's the important. It's not what's going on, but how we got here. So first, let me take you back to 2020 when the good people in Chicago, one of the worst crime-ridden cities in America, right, with some of the highest murder rates after the George Floyd incident, this is what protesters in Chicago, mind you, in Chicago, again, one of the highest crime-ridden cities in America. This is what they were saying about the police.
Hundreds of demonstrators calling for the millions of dollars the city pours into police to go back into the neighborhoods.
This isn't something that's just cute or something that we come out to just make a statement. This is our life.
Some of the activists, now familiar faces, back out again demanding that the funds be used for community resources and youth.
I need the funding while I'm young.
The protest started at Whitney Young High School, calling for the complete removal of cops in CPS schools. This comes after CPS announced the district will reduce funding for school resource officers and will not pay for police while schools are closed for remote learning.
CPD, out of all of the public spaces that we take up room in, CPD out of CPS schools.
Students speaking out about having more cops than counselors.
We don't have full-time nurses. We don't have full-time social workers. Defund the police. Fund into communities. Put funding into children of this city.
Mayor Lightfoot has said she's committed to investing in black and brown neighborhoods. The groups we talked to say they plan on marching every day until they get what they want and what they say they deserve.
So you get that? Defund the police, take them out of public spaces, do this, do that, right? Even though we're in one of the worst crime-ridden areas in the...
Ladies and gentlemen, before they go any further, other people have said, documented a lot of times, have said over and over and over and over and over that defunding the police is not a democratical agenda. That's what they tell me. Okay? And every time I heard that, I go up here and I find reports that says otherwise. Okay? It's amazing. Amazing. The things that we want to defund or do that we think is important or not important. This is getting out of hand just a tad bit, y'all. Let me get back into this story.
The nation with one of the highest murder rates in the country. Defund the police. So the mayor of Chicago at the time, Lori Lightfoot, before this new mayor, the new mayor is even crazier. She was like, okay, we're going to defund the police, but she had the reality of saying, well, hold on, we can't just defund the police because then we're going to be, if it's crazy now and we fully funded them, just imagine we start defunding them. So she tried to play the political game, which I think made people unsafe. Look at what happened.
Yeah, Brad, according to my math, the Chicago Police Department's budget will be cut by about $59 million, much of that by eliminating those vacant positions. Those who have been calling for the defunding of police say it isn't enough, but Mayor Lori Lightfoot says deeper cuts are not an option.
Our police officers are not our enemies.
That a matter-of-fact way for Mayor Lori Lightfoot to explain why she isn't defunding Chicago's police department, something activists have been demanding for months. But she isn't increasing CPD's budget either. She wants to eliminate 614 vacant department jobs, but she also wants to put an additional $5 million towards violence prevention and mental health programs.
We cannot responsibly enact any policies that make communities less safe.
Ninth Ward Alderman Anthony Beal agrees, which is saying something considering his tense relationship with the mayor.
We can't just, keep hiring more police. But at the same time, right now is not the time to defund the police.
Because Beal says of the violent crime surge in many Chicago neighborhoods, he and 5 other aldermen want the mayor to invest $50 million in a violence prevention program called CRED, which he says has helped cut crime in Roseland, his ward, by 33%.
Is this a realistic ask right now?
Absolutely. We cannot afford not to do this, because if we roll this out and crime is down, then we won't need as many police.
Beal believes that money could come from CPD's overtime budget or illegal gun and drug seizures. Currently, it's not on the mayor's radar, but launching an alternative response program is.
So the mayor did exactly that. The mayor cut some of that police funding. Okay, we're not going to defund the police, but we're going to cut all these police jobs, and we're going to make things safer by rolling back on the police. Then guess what happened? Things got worse. So bad that MSNBC, left-wing defund the police trumpet MSNBC, had to call her out because the mayor then screamed that she needed federal help to stop crime after essentially defunding her own police department. You think I'm joking? Come on. Check this out.
Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot is calling on the federal government to assist city law enforcement despite proposing an $80 million cut to the police budget last year. In a speech, Lightfoot asked Attorney General Merrick Garland to send ATF agents to Chicago to help end a surge of violent crime.
I have formally asked the Attorney General of the United States, Merrick Garland, to, with all deliberate haste, detail ATF agents to Chicago for 6 months so that we can increase the number of gun investigations and seizures in Chicago. And with these agents, we also need increased federal prosecutors to handle the new cases that will be generated.
So Chicago, like so many other cities, is seeing a historic spike in crime this year. More than 4,000 people have been shot in Chicago so far this year, and there have been close to 800 homicides, making it the deadliest city in the country. Jonathan,
defund the police. Like, am I crazy here, people? You can't sit there and say defund the police, propose taking $80 million and then go to the federal government. We need your help. We need your help. We need federal help.
Republicans want less government involved in everyday citizens' lives. Democrats want federal funding and help for everything that they do. It's straight down the middle how it's ran and how it's done.
No, what are you doing? Put the $80 million back, you idiot. But she took that $80 million out because she wanted to appease the mob, right? To appease the mob. So what happens? Well, eventually she couldn't defund the police. So you know what the people in Chicago did? They voted her out and voted in this guy. And just to, I don't want to hide the ball. He obviously, like you see here, Chicago mayoral candidate, looks to cut the police budget by $150 million. This guy is coming in. We're going to defund the police. Even though you got the 4,000 people shot, the highest crime rate in the country, the highest murder rate in the country. He's coming in. I'm going to defund. And they vote him in.
Any more on policing per capita anywhere else in the world has been a failure.
Well, he once sponsored a Cook County board resolution to reduce police funding. And today, candidate for Mayor Brandon Johnson said he would cut the Chicago police budget by at least $150 million. He proposes to spend billions of dollars more on social services, including mental health and youth employment.
Do not go out there with your wallet and no gun in Chicago talking about I'm finna mentally help you. Get your ass robbed. That's what's finna happen. Robberies. I really believe people like him in the Democratic Party just want to hand their state over to the feds. Here, I just want the feds to run it, but I just want my face to get this big ass check so I can get rich. And I just want only the black people to not be harmed, even though they're doing the most harming around her. Let them do it. I want black people to have their own purge. Yeah. That's what I want. I want everybody black just to go out there and purge in Chicago. It's okay. There's nothing going to happen to you. We seen the movies. They're going to start it. We're going to ride it. That's what's going on. That's what's going on.
Our political editor Mike Flannery joins us now with more. Mike.
Anthony and Natalie, a former educator, Johnson now works for the Chicago Teachers Union as an organizer. He said he would promote more detectives to solve killings and shootings, but he has repeatedly declined to answer whether he would cut the number of budgeted police officers.
Look, I get it. Like, people are talking about policing as a strategy. But keep in mind, that is the strategy that has led to the failures that we're experiencing right now.
Now, I don't want to hide the ball, but that guy won. He won. He's mayor of Chicago. But there's another issue now. It didn't help. Crime got worse. It got even worse. Even worse. But you know who he's blaming now? Because now you can't even drive your car. Your car's getting jacked now. Now you can't. They're stealing all your cars and everything. Stealing cars, getting robbed, murder rates out of the roof. So they've moved on to even more crimes. So now he says, well, you know what? I want to blame the car makers because the car makers are the problem. Not us defunding the police, obviously. No, that's not the problem. Police are racist inherently. We want to blame the car makers and sue the car makers. We're going to spend the city's money to sue the car makers for not having greater auto theft. I'm not even joking. That's like what he's proposing. Listen to it yourself.
It does make you think, who is coming up with this stuff? Jenna Caldwell, Fox News political analyst, out loud with you. We make light of this, but it does make you think, who is coming up with this stuff? Jenna Caldwell, Fox News political analyst, out loud with Gianna Caldwell, great podcast host, great friend. Jenna, you can't make this stuff up, but sign me up for that. If I can chase down all these guys and make all the delicious food so tempting for me, I think we got something here. What do you make of this?
I mean, I think that it's a misdirection from the mayor. We've seen since he's been in office, he definitely has a heart for criminals, which is something you wouldn't assume mayors of a major city would have, but he has a heart for criminals and we allow them to continue in their criminality instead of saying we're going to get tougher on crime, which is what he should be saying. He said, no, we're going to blame the car manufacturers so we can say that we're actually doing something about crime.
Just so we're clear, look at these numbers. Look at these numbers. Up 22% in robbery, up 10% in theft, up 5% in, CSA. I'm not going to read it, but up 33% in total. Right? 33%, 33%. Those are shocking numbers. But this is who the people in Chicago wanted to vote for. This is why I am totally not angry at the people in Chicago. I don't feel sorry for them. They get what they deserve. You know what? Defund the police and see what happens. If you guys want to live in a war zone, so be it. And the people who can afford to move out of it need to get out of it because it ain't getting better because the last mayor had to, I want to defund the police, but I can't really do it. She waffled. She didn't defend them all the way. They kicked her out and put this guy in. And this guy took more money from him. And look, crime is even more skyrocketing. When will people understand the defund the police thing is a stupid idea? It's always been a dumb idea. And now this guy is trying to play, we're going to sue the car manufacturers for car thefts. What? Really? That's the answer? And all those idiots are going to be like, oh yeah, he's right to sue the car manufacturers. No, wrong answer.
He a lawyer, y'all. So when you go out there and you try to sue a car company, and then if the mayor sues the car company, is he going to give that money back to every citizen that got that car thieved? Like, nobody thought about that part. Is he going to give the money to you, or is he going to keep it for himself and put it back into the so-called city?
Wrong answer. It's interesting. When I used to hear about Chicago and what happened in Chicago and the issues that were happening, I was always feeling bad. Like, how can you? But now I know it's crime is opportunistic in nature. People have the opportunities to commit crimes and they don't feel that there'll be any repercussions. They're going to commit those crimes. And I think Chicago is a perfect example of this. Defund the police. Let criminals walk out of jail on bail reform. All that stuff. It's the bastion of liberals, hey, let's just do it all what we want to do and just be who we want to be and let crime. And It's the people of that city who vote in these idiots and then want to blame the car manufacturers, right? Like always, tell me where I'm wrong in the comment section. Tell me where I'm wrong in the comment section. I think Chicago's an objective failure, but I do not feel sorry.
You won't see me going up there no time soon. No time soon. I heard this podcast the other day, and it was interesting. Conversation popped up. And I have a guest that wants to come on here and talk and teach people about United States of America versus United States of Republican. And I don't know if this conversation is the full thing where he actually talks about it, but this guy made some good points. He talked a good talk. And he let you know about things that were going on into the Trump administration. Some things even I didn't know. Did not know. And I can't wait till I find that one clip to where they talk about it, where Trump embarrassed Obama for getting into office. Obama's not gonna let that go, so that's why they're so-called going through all of this. It's supposed to be the payback for Trump. Whatever. If it is, it's not working.
Place like this today, twice appointed by Barack Obama to two really critical jobs, the Defense Intelligence Agency that you mentioned, and I was also Assistant Director of National Intelligence for engagement around the world and here at home. So I had a domestic role as a Assistant Director of National Intelligence. Both those positions, 3-star positions, appointed by Barack Obama, fully confirmed by the Senate. Mm-hmm. So that started in 2011, 2012, all the way to 2014 when I left. And an interesting thing, and I think I said this before in another show, but this is sort of probably breaking this here, because I never met Barack Obama. Really? I never met him. So he appointed me twice. He had to approve it. And then, of course, he made me, the enemy of the state in the very famous conversation between he and Trump turning the country over. Turning businesses over. You take a business over. I mean, in business, it might be a little different.
I have a question on that exact
situation. Jump in anytime.
Well, just since you brought it up, I watched 2 different documentaries on you last night. I didn't sleep last night because I wanted to be prepared for this. It was very intriguing what Obama told Trump in that transition meeting.
Yeah.
Here's the quote from, this was actually The Peaceful Transition of Power, the documentary, The Plot Against the President.
Jennifer Flynn, can you move your phone? I think it's picking up static right next to the mic. Go for it.
So, according to the documentary, you tell me if this is true or false. Obama told Trump the following: don't let anyone tell you who to hire in your administration. Surround yourself with your own people. There's only one person you should not hire, General Michael Flynn. Obama said that there's 2 people in the world you cannot trust. One of them is Putin. The other one is General Michael Flynn.
It's like a badge of honor coming from him.
Sebastian Gorka, who's been here,
every time I hear that, I'm like,
right.
Think about that. Okay, think about that for a moment.
Sure.
So what I just said about Barack Obama, and I'm still at that moment in time, I'm still holding one of the highest security clearances that the country can have. I had just gone through another security clearance update, like within the past 6 months, I think. So, and they gave it to me, right? I mean, this is all the vetting that you go through, and this is all before. So he has that conversation with Trump, all before all of the Russia nonsense. So Russia Gate is ongoing. We don't know about it yet. Right, but before I get coiled up with, a very legitimate phone call with the Russian ambassador. So That conversation between Barack Obama and the outgoing president of the United States, the incoming president of the United States, to transition the entirety of the United States of America, they focus on two people, Mike Flynn and the dictator from North Korea, Kim Jong-un. And it's just mind-blowing when you think about it. Instead of saying, look, here's the issues that we were dealing with around the world, foreign policy, domestic policy, economics, all these kinds of issues that you have to deal with.
I understand,
right?
y'all. This was a person that was literally behind the scenes.
Interesting.
Behind the scenes.
So go ahead. I'm
General
sorry to
Flynn.
cut you off.
Actually dealing
You're the general
with
here. Cut me off anytime.
Obama's administration.
yourself
As you heard him say,
two-term
never met
President
Obama,
Barack
but
Obama
dealt with
He
Obama
obviously wanted Hillary to win
administration.
the election, clearly.
Yeah.
Trump wins. We all remember that awkward sit down. It just felt weird. The two of them in the same room. But put yourself in Barack Obama's shoes. He could say anything to Trump, anything. But he talks about you specifically, that you were one of the two most dangerous men in the world. Yeah. Put yourself in Barack Obama's shoes. Why does he target you?
Yeah, because I am not an individual who came out of the military at the level that I came out at, and also while I was in the military, I was very blunt, because that's my sort of thing. I guess it's if you say, well, what do you get from Flynn? You're going to get what he believes, like it or not. That's sort of number one from the military perspective. But I'm not a person who came out at my level and went to work with with the big companies, with the big defense industry, and sort of got bought up and caught up.
Bought and paid for you.
Well, caught up in that lifestyle, right?
Yes,
Basically not getting caught up in politics.
You get a job with, the big defense industry, the big military industrial complex, right? Security state complex. And the next thing, and also I'm a Democrat. Okay, I was a Democrat.
You?
I've changed. I've just recently, in the last 2 years,
his mom was in politics years ago. She was a Democrat. She would take you with you to the rallies.
Oh yeah, I've that's a great story.
Did you vote for Barack Obama?
No, I never voted for president the entire time I was in the military. Nope.
So how do you?
Because I always looked at it as a commander in chief,
but you still identified as a Democrat, even though
I was a lifelong sort of a Kennedy Democrat. Rhode Island is where we grew up, and that part of the country, and because you mentioned my mom. My mom was she was big in politics. She ran for office in the state. My mom's platform was right to life, though. So early on, so here's a Democrat, and now the Democrats they're really not. There's no such thing as a Democrat anymore. So really, don't tell anybody. But the Democrat Party,
nobody's listening.
Dead.
General Flynn. Okay.
So we grew up as Democrats, and I actually. When I was being...
Most people look at Democrats as the communist movement. They want federal takeover. They want the government to tell you what to do. They don't want no policing. They want federal, Navy, National Guards everywhere. That's really... the Democratic movement. They want war in other countries so we can make money, so it can build our dollar up. And there's other ways we can build our dollar up without just, going to kill off a country. But, that's what we're known for. That's what you're known for. That's what you do. That's where we're headed towards, and he just breaking it down. This was a very good podcast, and I learned a lot from hearing him speak.
Asked for advice by all these different candidates for president. They were all Republican candidates, and then of course Trump, and so even when I went in as the national security advisor, if you looked at my political registration, I was registered as a Democrat. And then if you look at June of 2016, Trump narrowed it down to 4 people to be his vice president. Okay, me, Christie, Newt Gingrich, and Mike Pence. In June, there's a June actually right after the 4th of July. There's a couple of famous pictures that were put out on the media. These are the candidates, and so anyway, so that's what's kind of odd about this whole thing. Why? Because back to your question about why. And it was because I'm not somebody, what motivates me is my family, my faith, and this country. And I was taught that, when you learn, like we were talking outside here to some of your great team here, when I always say between the age of the time you're born until about the age of 10 is when you're going to really learn your values and the type of person that you are. And so I learned that this country is a great country. My parents worked hard. My father served in the in the military, blah blah blah. And I know based on my own training, my own experiences, having traveled around the world and served in combat and served in other places, that there are enemies that will always try to go after us. And
real enemies that's trying to go after us.
And this country has to be, I say, when people use the phrase, freedom isn't free, I use the phrase, freedom must be guarded. Okay, freedom must be guarded. So if, the path to freedom, the path to have what you want to have is filled with hardship. It's sacrifice, right? You talk about economic freedom all the time. You talk about wealth, creation all the time. You don't just go sprinkle fairy dust and poof, you're a 3-star general, right? Or you're a great entrepreneur, or you're a great businessman. You got to work your ass off for it. But there's also another path. See, there's another path that you take, and that's the path like a guy like Barack Obama took, okay, and others. Hillary Clinton is another one, and there are others. There are others that we should talk about, maybe some of them today, because I know you just did a thing about the World Economic Forum. So there's a path that some people take. It's a very easy path, and they take, right? They're takers. They're, I don't know what we can say. We have in the Army, we say shitters and eaters, right? So, there's takers out there, and they take. And what they get is they get more power, they get more wealth, but they actually haven't done anything. They haven't done anything. So they might serve in government, they serve in a political position, and you say to yourself, what are you doing? You're actually destroying more than you're creating, right? And so, anyway, you got me on a soapbox there. But that's a very important. So you're back to the question about Barack Obama. So you look at a guy like Barack Obama and you say, how could this guy get to where he's at? And I said the other.
That's funny how he almost go off guard, but he caught himself basically saying, breaking it down, Barack Obama made sure he did certain things, or he had got influence. Well, we all know that Barack Obama got influence into becoming president. Not one day he's just like, man, I want to run for president. Somebody actually offered the idea to him. I don't know if there's documented, so don't quote me on that, but I do know, like, he didn't just say every day I want to be a president.
The day, and I say this a lot about Barack Obama, and I tag him sometimes on my Twitter on my Twitter account. I tag him because I ask him questions because he never answers, But maybe one of these days he will. But Barack Obama had a unique opportunity coming in as the president in 2008. And that unique opportunity was to really unify and actually go into the black community. Right? And really strengthen, he presents himself as this great family man. Wonderful. That's wonderful. But get into the black community where the family's been destroyed, and get into the streets and get into these communities and talk to these people about, particularly black men, about their families, right? Because the black women who are working in, whether they're working in beauty salons or hotels or wherever. I mean, there's a lot of low income in the black community, and that black community was destroyed. He knows it. It was destroyed really by the Democrat Party back, late 60s, early 70s. There was decisions made. So you really got to understand this history. So Barack Obama had a unique opportunity, and he blew it. Because that was not what he was asked to do. Okay, I believe, and this is my own analysis of everything that we see now. You did a great piece the other day, and I put it out this morning on Twitter, at least, where you talked about the World Economic Forum. So, when we start to, I mean, a really good piece. It's a really, it's only like 14 minutes or something, but it's a really good piece. And if it was on YouTube, I'm surprised they haven't, shut it off. But everything that I'm talking about, it's when you look at this country and you say, how do we get to here? How do we get to, what else you say, 250 years? It's struggle. It's absolute struggle. It's sacrifice. It's being willing to give your life up. All those kinds of issues, like I say, sacrifice and freedom, they come hand in hand. So, why did Barack Obama not do things to me that would be unifying? They were not unifying. And I believe, and you can argue with me about it, but I believe, and I definitely sense it, and I saw it, I think, that the big plan, the big, strategic plan was 8 years of Obama, 8 years of Hillary, and the Great Reset would be complete. And I wouldn't be here. But a guy by the name of Donald Trump, like him or not, he's got, I don't know what, 72 felony counts against him for like 750 years or some ridiculous thing. I'd have been worried, and this is how arrogant they are, the sort of the enemy, right? The enemy, how arrogant they are. Had they indicted him for like 2 counts, maybe 1 count, right? Smith had just indicted him for 1 count, told these other courts, and actually had something, I'd be really worried. 1 or 2 counts. I'd be like, man, they got something on this guy. They actually have somebody who's got video, audio, tape, evidence, whatever. But when they put him, when it was like, 16 counts, 12 counts, whatever the numbers are at the different courts, and it ended up with like 70 and, over 70 felony counts, then you know that this thing is a sham. It's an absolute sham. And I think that they're going to fight tooth and nail to not.
I thought he was going to actually get into something. I'm not going to hold this conversation too much longer. I do got another actually good story to talk about marijuana and sports. I know some of you athletes out there probably got in trouble for smoking weed back in the day, and you wish that you was having athletes around this time.
This has become a hotly
U.S. Olympic track star Sha'Carri Richardson suspended for a month after testing positive for marijuana.
Most of the NBA, NFL, and at least half the players in the NHL use cannabis, according to player reports. And not only professional athletes. A recent study found that more than 80% of cannabis users like to work out. It turns out that the traditional image of cannabis users is nothing but a cliche. But is everything we thought we knew about cannabis and sport wrong? With the legalization of marijuana in more and more countries and the ban of American sprinter Sha'Carri Richardson for the Tokyo Olympics, this has become a hotly debated topic. So can marijuana make you a better athlete?
Interesting. Yeah. And we do need to help protest. I do need to look into this and see what I can do to help her out, because I just seen one of her raising that girl cold. And she probably looking at us like the whole America then turned her back on her. And that's not true. We just have a system to where we had a lot of distractions.
Welcome to Athletic Interest. Ben Johnson, Lance Armstrong, and the Russian track and field team are not the first to get caught cheating. The use of drugs in sports is as old as sports itself. Scandinavian mythology says berserks would drink a mixture called potations that increased their physical power with a slight risk of insanity. They would literally go berserk by biting into their shields and gnawing at their skin before launching into battle, killing anything in their path. The secret recipe apparently included fly agaric mushrooms. The ancient Olympics in Greece had doping as well. Even in 700 BC, there was an awareness that higher testosterone levels would increase performance. So athletes back then ate animal hearts and testicles in search of potency. Injectable liquid hormones were not available yet. As this ancient Greek physician put it, "For it is the semen which makes us to be men, hot, well-braced in limbs, well-voiced, spirited, strong to think and act. When cheaters were caught, they were banned for life and shamed on Twitter. Wait, that's not right. Their names plus their families were inscribed on stone pedestals in the entranceway to the stadium for the public to see. So basically the Twitter of the time. Also, in ancient Rome, athletes drank herbal infusions to strengthen themselves before chariot races. So herbs were already a thing back then. But just as it is questionable if animal hearts increase your performance, it is not at all clear that cannabis will. So why is it banned? The debate was reignited among elite athletes when Sha'Carri Richardson was denied a spot at the Tokyo Olympics after testing positive for marijuana. Many comments back then were along the lines of, why is she banned if marijuana is now legal in most states? That's a pretty weak argument. In elite sports, it doesn't matter if a substance is legal or illegal. The only thing that matters is if it is banned by the World Anti-Doping Agency. In fact, there are a bunch of very legal substances that can get you into serious trouble as an elite athlete. A big fat piece of poppy seed cake, for example, might cause you a positive doping test. Because poppy seeds contain morphine, and that's on the list of banned substances. And so is cannabis. But how does the World Anti-Doping Agency, also called WADA, decide what makes it on that list? There are 3 criteria: performance enhancement, health risk, and if the substance violates the spirit of sport. If a substance meets at least 2 of the 3, it gets banned. Sounds simple, but when applying the list to cannabis, you'll soon find out that there are some surprises. Marijuana.
This is very interesting. I hope people really is taking down notes and really understanding that something that like this that got banned around the world is almost finna be proven and taken to a whole new height.
Was added to the list of banned substances after a Canadian gold medalist tested positive for the drug in 1998. Although marijuana is prohibited by WADA, there is little scientific evidence that it can make you a bigger, stronger, or faster athlete. If anything, cannabis has a reputation for decreasing athletic performance. Early studies have shown that cannabis can spike heart rates, increase blood pressure, and thereby hamper the ability to exercise. There might be some objective but minor physical benefits of cannabis in certain sports. In the Olympic sport of archery, alcohol is banned from competitions because it could help to steady the hand. Cannabis could potentially offer a similar advantage, but there's no real data to support that. However, WADA came to a different conclusion based on a study from 2011 on cannabis in sport. The authors argue that cannabis smoking reduces anxiety, allowing athletes to better perform under pressure and alleviate stress before and during competition.
Ooh, now that is a very good argument if you want to put up there for as why you would ban marijuana. Hell yeah. Because when people are like fucking tripping you out and going somewhere, what do people normally do? Go off in the cut, smoke them a little joint, come back and hear that same noise and be able to concentrate through it. That's a good argument.
The paper draws on a handful of previous scientific studies, citing, for example, a certain Dr. Wagner, who described cannabis as ergogenic, which means performance enhancing. But here's the problem. Dr. Wagner says he never wrote that. That was like a throwaway line. I didn't imagine it would have an impact in the world of Olympics. That brings us to one of the main problems. Anecdotally, cannabis sounds like a miracle drug. But until recently it was illegal in most countries, and that made it difficult to research in a lab-controlled setting. So there's a lot of talk, but not enough facts. Even the 2011 WADA study states that much more scientific information is needed. Luckily, more scientific information is available today. 2 new, independent papers from 2020 come to a different conclusion than WADA. Cannabis does not act as a sport performance-enhancing agent as raised by popular beliefs, and should be avoided prior to exercise in order to maximize performance. We have to take a quick excursion from the performance-enhancing question now to talk about a really surprising finding in the latest cannabis research. Users of cannabis have quite a reputation.
I think we're barking, man.
Turns out, that's nothing but cliches. A study found out that people who frequently use cannabis also seem to be people who frequently exercise, and we are not talking about bowling. It gets even better. About 70% who report using cannabis before or after a workout believe that it makes their exercise more enjoyable. The author says that the findings should not be seen as an endorsement to work out when high, but they do suggest that some of the ideas about cannabis and lifestyle may be outdated. So science says that cannabis might increase your enjoyment, but not your performance. No check for the first of the 3 criteria.
Hey, I like where this is going, and I hope they bring this to help more athletes that get in trouble. They might need to bring this to Stephen A. Smith. Somebody should tag Stephen A. Smith into this video.
What about the second one? This is the Wikipedia article about the long-term effects of cannabis. And this is its revision history. It gets changed all the time because there are so many opinions. Much in the debate about cannabis is more belief than it is fact. There's a lot of evangelism going on and we don't want to get lost in it, so here's a quick summary. There are some potential health concerns surrounding marijuana. For example, damage to lungs and the risk of developing psychosis. But there's also a flip side. Athletes use cannabis to manage pain, sleep and anxiety, often instead of painkillers. The misuse of opioid pain medications is a big issue, especially in the NFL. Some players use cannabis as a natural substitute instead. Cowboys' Sean Smith admitted that he smoked 2 blunts before every game. When I smoke, I can focus and actually do the job I have. I feel like nobody can stop me when I was out there. Maybe the question is not so much if there are health risks.
That nigga said, I smoked 2 I gotta say, that nigga said, I was up there blow. Like, niggas like, can't see me. That's funny. That's funny.
In general, but whether cannabis has a higher health risk for elite athletes than tobacco or alcohol, which are both not banned by WADA. The idea that cannabis might not be as harmful as alcohol is common. According to the Centers for Disease Control, 1 in 10 deaths in working-age adults in the US is due to excessive alcohol use. In comparison, deaths caused by cannabis are not even tracked, because there has never been one. The trend is that more
That's still what's up. That's still what's up.
More countries and states are legalizing cannabis, which has a direct impact on the last of the 3 criteria we need to talk about. The spirit of sports. This is even more difficult to assess than the first 2. We're not talking about scientific facts, but rather about ethics. So is it unethical to allow athletes to use cannabis? The WADA study from 2011 argues that cannabis is an illegal substance in most of the world and therefore believes that the role model of athletes in modern society is intrinsically incompatible with use or abuse of cannabis. But cannabis is no longer illegal in large parts of the world. The laws changed, and our laws are basically the written code and rules that we all agree on. Fundamentally, laws rely on what society thinks is the right thing to do and what not.
I like how he's presenting that too. Making it, he making it seems and sound like it's the people that make the decisions and put out the attitudes and put out the measuring stick of what you should judge somebody by.
If society decides that cannabis is no longer illegal, then athletes consuming it are no longer bad role models, and it is no longer logical to say it is against the spirit of sport. So from the 3 criteria, we cannot even answer one with a clear yes. Can marijuana make you a better athlete? No, probably not. It might increase enjoyment, but there is no evidence that it increases performance. More and more leagues are acknowledging this and loosening the rules. It's not only about ethics, but also about money. Cannabis is a huge business opportunity. Professional sports already make billions with alcohol endorsements, so it could be only a matter of time before the leagues also embrace the lucrative cannabis industry.
Stop playing. Now you want to... That's next level right there. If I see cannabis at a NASCAR, hockey, football. Oh my God, that's next level. Cookies. And that's gonna be probably the first company that you see endorsed by anybody on a shirt. It's probably gonna be the cookies.
If you're marketing a supplement, who better to sell it than someone who looks like the very picture of health? It's kind of ironic. The same companies that lobby to allow cannabis in sports because there is no scientific evidence of enhancing performance will be the first one to claim that it will make you a better athlete when selling their supplements. So this video is sponsored by CBD Cannabis Brilliant Dope. Just kidding. The video is not sponsored by anyone, so smash that like button and subscribe if you enjoyed it.
That was very informational. So in the next couple of years, you're probably expecting everybody to have some type of marijuana law going on in another, especially in another country. I kind of didn't. Yeah, I did. Yes, I did. I kind of talked about everything. I do found a way to, I think I'm going to start bringing back into sports just a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find somebody who go over sports and break it down pretty damn good. And then I'm going to bring them into her, and then we're going to have that segment up of her. That's how I'm going to do sports. You feel me?
I think that to be here where you have a storm hitting close to 130 mile an hour, just under a Cat 4, and not as of now have any reported fatalities, it's probably something that most people would not have bet on, 4 or 5 days ago, knowing how strong the storm was going to get. So my hat's off to the people on the ground there who did a good job. And also, just it should be said that this was a pretty solid forecast. If you look, we were back here this weekend, and it was a Big Bend impact, and there was a little variation along the Big Bend, but the bottom line is these forecasts were pretty doggone accurate. Particularly compared to what happened with Hurricane Ian, where we went in a matter of 48 hours to potentially having a Big Bend impact, and then all of a sudden, migrating all the way down to Southwest Florida. This one was there. It was keyed in, and it was very, very accurate. So I appreciate that, and that was great. Okay, do we have any questions?
I know damage assessments are ongoing, but is there any damage you're finding to state buildings, including prisons, in the past?
I don't think so. And get a better assessment, but there's no report about any state buildings.
Describe the damage that you saw yesterday and compare that to Hurricane Ian last year.
Well, what I saw was just a lot. I mean, there's a massive amount of debris because you have a lot of trees in this part of the state, and there were trees knocked down.
Just trying to give you the Santes and him knowing a little bit about.
What's poppin'? What is the most popular stuff? What's the hype stuff? Did I waste my money, or was it a pretty good fucking deal? $100 an eighth. I'm just trying to find the dopest stuff. Hey, what's up YouTube? Dope as Yola here. Hope you're having a dope ass day. Welcome back to the channel. As you can tell by the title, today is a ridiculous video. All right, let's just break it down. Let's get straight into it. But before we do, leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. age restricted, everything. This will be the last time I talk about it. I'm gonna stop complaining because I feel like it just keeps me in a cycle of YouTube hating on me. The Adventures of Yola channel is 100% family friendly, don't cuss, nothing. They said it's drug content violation and I will never be monetized. They just took away everything from me on the other channel. So what I'm gonna do is stop caring. I'm gonna find a different way to somehow make money off those videos. I just do this for fun anyway, bro. I never got paid. I bought this weed. You know what I'm saying? Like I come out of pocket every day, so I don't really care. I'm just here to get high, have fun. Let's get into this video. Before we start, let me tell you a little quick story. It's gonna be.
You see how they do him, and you see what I be doing over here. You know it's gonna be hard when I get started monetizing.
Very, very fast, but I need to let you know why this happened. So what I've been doing is buying zips, trying quarters. That's why I'm not buying OG packs, because I'm just trying different stuff. So my homies at Kush Clinic, I tried a $350 gram the other day, and everyone online called me an asshole. I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm just saying how much they charge for these things. I'm not saying I'm paying these things, but on this one, I totally did. So I go in to buy some weed yesterday, just like every week. I go to buy some weed, and my homie Nico posted that they had this lemon weed. It's called Lemon Up. I've tried it once. It's super small batch. It's so fire. I love OGs, but I love a lemon, all right? If it's really lemon, I don't like lemon hash, weirdly enough, but I like lemon weed. Anyway, last time they can only sell me 1/8 because it was so exclusive. They only had so many and they had it for their customers. They told me I could get more, but I'm not gonna be a jerk like, oh, you know who I am? Give me all of it. No, I just took one just like you're supposed to. So what happened, guys? I usually don't check the price or ask the price on weed. I'm gonna smoke it. So what did I do? I bought this yesterday. This is called Lemon Up, okay? Lemon Up, yes, it looks just like the 7-Up stuff. The smell is we'll get into that. The logo's cool, everything's dope. So, you know, it's 1/8 of weed, 3.5 grams. As I get my bill, and I'm like, okay, zip, quarter, got some weed from my homie. And then I look at these and I go, what? I did not know until I was paying the bill. I bought 3 of these 8s. They're $100 each. I paid $100 for an 8. I have never done that in my existence of life, unless it's like some crazy $1,000 zip, but we just buy a zip. You don't think about it in 8 terms. $100 8? 18-year-old me would have beat the shit out of me for spending $100 on an 8. But you know what? Times have changed. Remember, guys, there's $10 8s, there's $5 8s, there's $100 8s, there's $200 8s. It all depends on what you want to smoke. There's super gross ground beef, and there's that Wagyu stuff they sell at crazy restaurants. When you go to the store and you want to buy a crazy bottle, you buy a crazy bottle and you don't go, damn, I got custody. You go, oh, I want to try this and enjoy it. So that's how I feel about certain weeds. Like, yo, that shit's expensive. I'll try it for the experience. You know what I mean? And if I fall in love with it, maybe I'll try it again. But there's got to be a reason why people are taxing. Okay, so enough talking, guys. Let me get straight into it. I just had to tell you why I bought a $100 8. Why I bought 3 $100 8s. So guys, let's bust into this. This is called the Lemon Up by Mr. Cushington 415. You can't deny good weed. You can't. I know it's expensive, I get it, but real quick, guys, I don't know this person that owns the brand. I don't know what they sell it for. They might sell it for way cheaper. I'm just saying where I bought it from, the price they were selling it was $100 an 8. So don't go to this fool's page like, you're a piece of shit taxing people. He's just a grower, bro, all right? He's just a grower with fire weed. Don't blame the grower, blame the seller. And also don't blame the seller, just don't buy it. You never walk into the Nike store and go, those J's are too expensive. Can I talk to the manager? I don't want to buy these. They're too expensive. You don't do that shit, just leave. So here we go, guys. I'm gonna bust this out. Real quick, the smell. Just in the jar, the smells like lemon, not clean. I always say lemon cleaner. I don't mean, it smells like chemicals. I mean that sharp lemon smell you get from like lemon pine sol, like that. God! All right, let's bust this out, guys. One thing I will say, the whole 8th, that's a fire 8. 2 little bowl nugs. You got a fat joint nug over here. Not a bunch of shake and popcorn nugs in these 8s. If you're gonna spend $100, it better look like this, all right? $100 an 8 better be perfect just like this. So, real quick, let's crack it. This smells like a lemon cake. Like it smells almost like a fucking savory, but it's so sweet, it's kind of like a candy. This is a weird.
I know this video was 22 minutes, so.
This is in the What's Popping series of the new shit. What's popping? Here we go. Sorry for the air. I know you guys can hear it. The air is bumping, but I was sweating my ass off. All right, here we go. First rip. I smoked this weed about 3 months ago. I remember I smoked it with the lemon poppers too, so I couldn't even tell you. I don't remember this strain. All right, so basically this is the first time smoking it again. Here we go.
See, now I feel good. I smoke it too. I put up the age restriction on my shit.
No exaggeration when I say that tastes exactly, I mean identical to the way it smells. All right, let's pack another one for science and research and development. Guys, on 7/10, 2 days ago, I took a gram dab. I haven't done that in a while. Damn near threw up. I wasn't that high though. I was high for like 15 minutes. I need a tolerance break. Also, while we're just sitting here, guys, thank you guys so much for supporting the podcast. All right, I'm just gonna talk about it real quick. We got Jeezy coming Friday. We got Fluffy coming too. We got Cheech coming. We have a lot of great guests on the way, man. Like everything's just going so well.
That's dope. I'm not gonna hold y'all too much longer, yo. I appreciate y'all stopping through. Don't forget my sponsor. Hit her up. Go get you a toy or two for your lonely days or your happy days. It doesn't really matter. Hit an hour, you probably spend your billions. I don't know. We're working on it. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, it's been another good day, good morning, good afternoon, good night.